Okay, we're gonna start the meeting. For number 3, reconvene open session. Calling to order. 3.1. Calling to order open session. Open sessions at 5:47 p.m. By law and board policy, I must notify you that this meeting is being recorded. By law and board policy, any member of the public may address the board on an item on the agenda or any non-agenda item, but the public must present a written request to the board. Therefore, I ask you to kindly submit your speaker slips at this time to help us run an efficient meeting. Speaker slips for non-agenda items need to be turned in prior to item 5.2, hearing of the public regarding non-agenda items. You'll be recognized and called to the podium at the time. You'll have 3 minutes to address the governing board. For those individuals who wish to comment on a particular agenda item, your speaker slip will need to be turned in by item 4.2, hearing of the public regarding agenda items. You'll be recognized and called to the podium when your requested agenda item comes up, and you'll have 3 minutes to address the governing board. 3.2, report of action taken in closed session. The governing board met in closed session, and by unanimous vote, the board voted to approve the compromise agreement and release with student in OAH case number 202-402-0318. The agreement resolved an ongoing dispute related to a student's special education supports and services in exchange for a waiver of claims against the district. 3.3, Pledge of Allegiance. All right, I hope everyone enjoyed the break. At 8, we will reconvene. So we're at 4:14, reconvene the board meeting. 4:15 for the board report with Del Mar Parent Teacher Association. And the stage being Elementary President Dr. Homer.
I'm not able to see my notes for some reason, so I'm gonna say what I recall, but I'm Aubrey Homer, and I'm the PTA president at Sage Canyon. It's my first year doing it, and when I started as president, one of the things that I heard from some of the parents was they loved all the social activities, but they wanted more focus of PTA and academic type sponsored programs. So that's why I chose that as this topic for this evening. Reaching out to all the schools who helped me contribute some information for this topic, I focused on how PTA helps sponsor STEAM-related activities as well as academic programs. So STEAM Plus for the art, technology, science, physical activity, and performing arts, and we also are big contributors to sponsoring academic clubs, school subscriptions, and activities that enhance the learning of our students. So starting with STEAM, I didn't get through quite everything I tried, but science was really one of the biggest ones. So multiple schools at our DMUSD district participate in the Science Olympiad, which is for 4th through 6th grade students, and they get teams led by some parents, some high school students, where they're in a competition and they participate in February. This year, Sage Canyon brought back Science Fair, which I haven't seen since about 4 years ago, where they did science projects and kids could work individually or as pairs and presented to parents and their peers one evening. Special events, I swear my notes I've written down what schools did what, but they helped participate by, right in front of me, thank you. It's like a whole paragraph here. Okay, so purchased glasses for watching the solar eclipse last month. Del Mar Hills PTA helped purchase learning materials for their makerspace, and it has all kinds of materials like pipe cleaners, tape, beads, crafts, so they can use it as a hands-on tool for the classroom, and assisted by the librarian and science teachers, and they come home with projects they've invented, and it helps sponsor assemblies, so things like Mad Science and Science Fridays at the Del Mar High School. PTA also contributes to many subscriptions at the school, including technology and engineering. Del Mar Hills had another similar Robot Week in their library, where the librarian helped to read to the kids about the robots and how they function in our everyday world. And then the kids are going to build simple bristle-bot robots out of materials, including toothbrush heads and a small motor. And these were all materials that were able to be purchased on behalf of the school and sponsored by PTA. So they also, with the subscriptions, help with the RAS Kids. Pacific Sky has Heidi Songs, Boom Learning, and A to Z Learning. And Pacific Sky, in addition to all DMUSD campuses, help supply teacher mini grants that many parents don't see, but that money goes directly to each classroom to help the teachers purchase supplies for their academic learning and innovation in art supplies. So the arts, this year and the previous year, some of the schools have started drama clubs and theater programs that have become very popular. Drama club can be as simple as a junior theater outreach program. This year we initiated at Sage Canyon, up to a full-scale musical production such as Little Mermaid that was recently performed here at Ocean Air School. Ashley Falls just hosted their second annual Night of the Arts, which highlighted artistic talents from the students of Ashley Falls. And all students submitted one form of visual art, and many students performed on stage the night of the event. I'm a little bit biased to our school, Sage Canyon, because I wrote the presentation, but there are similarly, Sage Canyon hosts a talent show where students can show off their physical skills, soccer, or maybe do a group dance performance, or many of our students demonstrated their musical talent and endeavors via a small recital performance. International Night, or World Culture Day, was also sponsored by PTA, included stage performances where some schools even hired performers from the community to provide a cultural enrichment experience, to hosting students from our own school to lead a dance significant to their culture. And lastly, we grouped in the School Garden, which is sponsored by Ashley Falls and some other school PTAs, which helps fund the school garden and allows students to learn about plants, eating healthy, and some of the relatable science pertaining to plants and insects that visit the garden. Lastly, some lunch clubs, often student-initiated, can focus on smaller group interests in the arts as well. Physical activity. Here I focused on my photo of the jogathon, but there are, one of the big lunchtime activities is called different things at different schools, but Road Runners Club, Mileage Club, Running Club, which is a weekly or bi-weekly lunch program where students run laps and win charms and other prizes, and they track their yearly running laps. And at Sage and Ashley Falls School, many students have finished running over 100 miles while participating in this program, which I thought was a big accomplishment. So other schools also host running club before school and during recess, and it gets the PE teacher and the kids involved and helps promote healthy activities with the kids. Field Day, coming up next week, will be sponsored by PTA, allows kids to participate in more of a fun day of different sports and inflatable games that make physical activity fun. Lastly, we help sponsor new sports equipment that can be used by all students at recess and sometimes enhances the safety of the current equipment on the playground, such as a new mat for the Gaga pit. Academic support, there's various programs offered at the different schools. One of the big ones that came across was at Sycamore Ridge, and I think there was another school I'm not thinking of, that they offer a program called Everyone's a Reader or Star Reading, where volunteers come and read with the students in grades 1 through 3 for students that need a little bit of extra help. New this year, volunteers from Westmont facility, which is the senior facility here in Carmel Valley, have been coming over to Sycamore Ridge and reading with some of the kids. And I know that's been a really great way to involve our community with our school, and it's a nice way for our seniors to get some rewarding socialization. Math Club, Sycamore Ridge, Pacific Sky, and many other campuses have a PTA-sponsored math club run by parent volunteers Math club students participate with parent coaches virtually after school or before school in person, teaching to practice grade level math concepts and beyond. They participate in different nationwide math competitions throughout the year, such as Noetic Learning, Math Olympiad, AMC8, Math Counts, and they are representing our schools. Readathon. Although some schools use this as their primary fundraiser, schools such as Pacific Sky are using their readathon to promote reading. And this is often tied to the book fair, which helps with the sales have provided credits for our school libraries to purchase several $1,000s of new reading materials over the year. Study Buddies was initiated this year at our school as well. It runs for 6 to 8 weeks, allowing an older student from a community school such as Cathedral Catholic to partner with a student who may need special help with either a buddy or homework, and they work 6 to 8 weeks together and form a relationship once a week where the student and the high school student work together. So, in conclusion, PTA gives back to schools not only by supporting academic programs, but giving back extra money to the schools by purchasing new books for the classroom, sports equipment for playground, subscriptions for teachers, and the library to benefit the learning of every child. We thank all the families for their financial contributions that help make these programs possible, in addition to the teachers and staff, as well as our DMUSD school board, and all of their support for their endeavors that help enhance the lives of each and every one of our students.
And we're at 4:17, and we have a board report from DMUSD President Will Brett.
Members of the board, Superintendent Clerk, and members of the cabinet, this is the last meeting I will be presenting before you. It's been a great 2 years of being able to steward all the hard work of our parents, volunteers, both in DMSDF, but also all the parents in all the schools who supported to support the mission of the foundation, to support our student plus teachers. So it's been a privilege to be part of this work, and I am also very excited. So I want to thank you all. It's been great having all come to our meetings. It's been great working with the district staff and the different things that have come up. So with the bottom of my heart, thank you all. And so a little bit of sadness, but also just joy of what we've done and reflecting on all the good things that we have been able to do to support with all the parents and the teachers support to the district. So I would like to introduce you next our new president, who will be taking my place, Shima-san. She will be taking this meeting after me next time, so I just want her to introduce herself.
It's been a privilege to be working with this district and all the staff and everyone that's helped us with DMSDF. I'm looking so forward to working with you all and the staff and continuing our good work. We have a wonderful board, and I'm excited for the new year. Not to mention, this is going to be our 25th year. So it's going to be a big year for us.
All right, so I do have something to report, something that we tend to report at this time of year. Something we've all been waiting for, and that is the amount of money that our parents and our community have contributed to support our Student program. So I'm here to report that we are going to be providing a check for the district for $1,175,000. I don't think there's anything more to say than that. So let's do it. So the board can come up, members of the board.
We do want to thank Will.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, and thanks, Will, for being here.
Thank you, Will, and thank you, DMUSD, for all the work and support that you give to the district. Really appreciate it. We'll go take the big check down to the big bank. All right, we are moving on to 4.18, board report from our governing board members, and we'll start down the end. Mr. Polis.
Thanks, Jiwa. So May was such an action-packed month, and I wish our PTA presidents and principals were here because I believe the highlight was visiting all 9 school communities, almost all of them in one weekend, 8 in one weekend, and then 2 weeks later at Pacific Sky. And that includes Ashley Falls Night of the Arts, Carmel Del Mar International Showcase, Sage Canyon Spring How, Torrey Hills Family Dance, an amazing camp out with 3 schools, Del Mar Hills, Del Mar Heights, and Oceanair families, Spring Carnival at Sycamore Ridge, and then finally the Spring Carnival at Pacific Sky. And what's amazing is the amount of energy that goes into planning these events with the PTA president's leadership, the parents and the staff who participate. And that's what the communities are all about, is just coming together and enjoying each other's company and celebrating an amazing year. On a more serious note, I went to some business-oriented events as well. One was more casual. It was a gathering of superintendents and school board members from the local school districts. And what's nice about that is you have the other elementary school districts that feed up into San Diego, and then San Diego as well. And you separate so that you're not sitting with anybody from your own district, so you can actually learn from the other board members and the superintendents. And it's a great way to share ideas and take best practices from their districts and maybe share some of our best practices with them. And then finally last night, Jiwa and I were able to participate with the leadership here and the principals and teachers and parents with the strategic design team meeting. It was very, very well done. It was very efficient. It was done in an hour and a half. And I'm always suspicious at these events. I'm always afraid wow, look at all the great things we did with all the levers. But it was actually very actionable. It was, what are the challenges that we're facing, and what are the ideas to deal with those challenges and move forward with implementing the strategic goals of the district. And so this is just part 1. Part 2 will be in September, and that's when the staff will pull all of these ideas together along with the facilitators that we brought in, who did a fantastic job, and have another group setting with parents and teachers and staff and board members to implement some ideas to really advance the excellence in the district. So I encourage people to attend. The more voices, the better. And as always, I'd always love to see even more parents. And we had childcare and try to make it easy and concise for the parents to participate. So those were the highlights of my month, and thanks for your attention.
So, no, unfortunately, I was not able to attend that one last night, but it sounds like it was a good opportunity. Maybe we can have another kind of virtual event for families too. That would be great. I went on the Del Mar Heights site visit and got to tour that school and see how much has been accomplished, and that was exciting to see. It was a bit of a shock and awe for me to go back to my elementary school and see how much it's changed. It was good. And then I think the highlight for me as a parent and board member was attending the inaugural SLIP family picnic that was held last weekend at Ashley Falls, and it was a great opportunity for us to meet families from Ashley Falls to meet families from Del Mar Hills and kind of just share in our love of learning another language and our children getting to experience that. And so I'm hoping that the district is able to also create events and opportunities for us to gather together. So I also attended the school board collaborative event, which was really a great chance to share across districts, and we always love when Sandy is there, so we can make sure we share our all of our great work in this district and other elementary school districts, and I think there's a lot of lessons the high school districts can learn from us, and so we have a great chance to collaborate in that forum, and this is a special one because we got to meet with all the school board members across the districts, whereas we usually have two of us at any one session, so it was a great event. And I also got to attend my favorite event, which is Dance Fest at Delmar Heights, where it was special for me because my sixth grader, my third kid, who's gone all the way through DMUSD, was dancing the waltz for the final dance of elementary school. The way that it works with that event, and I think it's great for all schools to do it, but it's a long tradition at Delmar Heights. Every grade level does a particular dance, and all the parents come, and some of the dances the parents get to participate and that kind of thing. So that was really special. So my third one rolling out at DMUSD, but also it's cool because the seniors who promoted 6 years ago all come back, and they all have their college sweatshirts, where they're going and everything. And so I think out of like we were saying earlier, about 63 of them, maybe 60 of them came back. If you want to know the strength of that, the class and the affiliation with that school, to walk out there and say where they're going to college and their majors and all those things, and or what else they're doing. And one of those was my daughter, who was the first one of my kids to go through DMUSD. So it was really special to be part of that event. And I think when we're in elementary district, we're so excited about all that early learning and the preparedness that they have, getting ready to go into San Taquito, and it's just so gratifying to see them at the other end where they, finish high school and they come back and they're these adults that you don't recognize from when they were, 12, especially the boys. For some reason, they can't recognize them whatsoever from 6 years ago. Totally have changed. And they're going amazing places, and they're going to be the leaders in our community all across the country, probably. And it's really just so proud to see what the seeds that we plant at DMUSD and where they take these kids over time. So it's just really exciting. So I'll stop there. Thanks.
And Erica, you saw the beginning of that process of starting college, and I was able to go to my daughter's graduation from college. She started at Ashley Falls and worked her way up. She had her trials and tribulations and made it through and graduated college. And interestingly, she ended up at University of Montana, which, and apropos, Holly Palmer retired to. So we were able to visit with Holly Palmer. In fact, she made us a really nice dinner. I don't, visit our retirees, often, but she wanted me to relate to the district that she misses everybody, but she's doing extremely well. Oh, Holly Palmer used to sit in Megan's chair for many, many years and was the executive assistant to the superintendent. Much beloved and just a wonderful person. And lucky for us, and I wish the same for you, she acted as my daughter's adopted grandmother while she was away in college. So it's nice to have that. And I appreciate Holly, and I know she appreciates and loves this district and wanted me to send her regards. And that's what I do. Besides seeing the Northern Lights, which are amazing. Think about it. This last month, we had an eclipse in the Northern Lights. And I don't know if the universe is saying something, but I was listening. Oh, and have a good summer, because I think we end school before the next week.
Thank you. Strategy. Moving along. So Alan kind of mentioned a couple of things that we were already at, and those were great. And Erica as well. Work collaborative lunch is always a good opportunity, and to get together with our other board members in the area and learn from them. And beyond that, I was also with other board members at the SF Square Spring Symposium, which I was with Chris and Holly up in Sacramento, and then at the CSBA Delegate Assembly this past weekend as well. Primarily, like what I kind of offered you guys to bring back on those, it was a lot about budget discussions because there's significant issues with California's budget right now, if you guys are aware. There's about a $27 billion budget deficit, and partly that had to do with the fact that they collected taxes late. And so they made projections and but money went out, and now they're sitting with an $8 billion education budget deficit. And so at CSBA, significant amounts of time was basically spent on addressing that, because a lot of other districts are dealing with the financial shortfall. And so, fortunately for us, we are a basic A district, and those issues aren't quite as pressing with us. But with significant budget issues, they potentially could, and if they get more dire, they could affect us as well. And so it's something we need to continue to observe and keep an eye on. So things such as, like our categorical programs, our expanded learning opportunity programs, and our child nutrition, those could be potential things that get cut from the state level. So we need to keep an eye on those. And also just like potential reductions in the aid that we receive. So those were kind of the main issues at those meetings I went to. I was also at the Cultures of Thinking Fellow Showcase at this guy, which Allison was helping lead, and it's really amazing to be able to kind of see the way that our teachers teach, and it's how they're transforming what teaching is. That's one thing that I noticed, because it was a showcase that invited other districts in our area, and they don't necessarily do the way that we do it. And that was kind of something that I heard from the other participants. It's kind of like, how do I implement this at my school? Because it was so eye-opening and interesting that they were, how do we kind of bring this back to our places? And it was really exciting to kind of see how the way teaching is kind of transforming, and how they're making our students think really deeply, think critically, and visibly, and kind of how they show their way of thinking, and how they can continue to ask questions, think about different perspectives. It was just really eye-opening for me to kind of see this is kind of what happens in our teaching. Additionally, let's see what else. I also went to a Torrey Hills visit with Abby showed me around there. I didn't know the principal there, and it was a really great experience. One thing I highlight from there would be the early childhood inclusion program. That was really great to be able to see that we have our students with some special needs, and also students that are their buddies, and just operating like a regular class. Everybody's just kind of playing around and being kids, and it was just great to be able to see that everyone's able to learn from each other. And it was a nice, it's great that we have that program. And the last thing I was going to say is that I visited Delmar Heights as well, and I am so excited. I cannot tell you how excited I am for the people in that community, and it's an amazing facility. It's going to be an amazing school. The community's waited so long for this, and I'm so happy for them to be able to experience it. When I spoke with the architect, he was like, hands down, this is going to be one of the top academic facilities in the state. And so I don't want to jinx anything, but I'm looking forward to more awards and prizes. It's an amazing facility. And that is it for me. And we will move on to 419 and report from the superintendent.
Thank you. I just have been spending time reflecting on the year, and as Will is exiting, Will, thank you very much for your leadership on the foundation. Foundation exists obviously outside of the district, but its sole purpose of supporting students within the district. So thank you for your leadership, and we look forward to next year working with the leaders who will be in place at that time. It has been just a fantastic year. You've all mentioned many things, and we now at the end of this school year are wrapping up a very successful school year, first year of implementation of District Design 2028 that I'll talk about in just a little bit. One of the things that stood out to me last night when we were having our strategic planning meeting was some conversation around that, well, we have 4 levers, but one of the levers is responsive and caring culture. And there was so much rich dialogue about the conditions that we collectively create here to make sure that it's a place where we can all thrive. Our children thrive, every adult can thrive, and it's something that we're always holding very near and dear and important to us, and a sense of belonging and the kind of culture that really does contribute to everybody be having a place to flourish. So that was really an exciting part of the conversation last night. I too am excited about the end of the year activities, Del Mar Heights, a long time coming, and so very proud and pleased of the extraordinary efforts Chris Delahanty has led throughout the entire process, expertise, profound, just a class act, and always doing the right thing and working with very good people. They got a very good project in place that will be in place for decades to come, that will impact the entire community in all good ways. So thank you for that. It's going to be a great end of the school year, and we've only got a few more days left of school. It's hard to believe. We are done on May 31st, and the last big event is 6th grade promotion next week, so we're excited about that. And I will have more to share when I present later on the update on superintendent goals. Thank you.
Thank you. And we are 420, public hearing to review the proposed 2024-25 budget and balances in excess of minimum reserve requirements. Reference to item 10.1. In accordance with provisions of Education Code Section 42103 and 42127A to B, you are hereby notified of the preparation of the proposed 2024-25 budget and ending fund balances for the Del Mar Union School District. Proposed budget and ending fund balances are available for review from May 22nd, 2024 to June 26th, 2024 by contacting Megan Bennett, Executive Assistant to the Superintendent at mbennett@DMUSD.org. That's mbennett@DMUSD.org. The adoption of the 2024-25 budget and ending fund balances will occur at the scheduled governing board of trustees regular meeting on June 26, 2024. Public hearing, the hearing is now open at 7:43 p.m. by me. And are there any public comments? There are not. So we are closing that hearing at 7:43. Okay. And then we're moving on to 421, public hearing to review the proposed local control and accountability plan, LCAP, reference item 8.1. Notice is hereby given that the Del Mar Union School District will conduct a public hearing to gather community feedback and accept the preliminary plan for the proposed 2024-25 local control and accountability plan, known as the LCAP. The proposed 24-25 local control and accountability plan is available for review at the Del Mar Union School District office located at 11232 El Camino Real, San Diego, California, 92130, between the hours of 7:30 a.m. and 4 p.m. on the DMUSD website at www.dmusd.org from May 20th, 2024 to June 26th, 2024. The adoption of the 24-25 local control and accountability plan will occur at the regular scheduled board meeting on June 26th, 2024. This public hearing, and our hearing is open at 7:44. And then any public comments? There are no public comments now. Hearing will be closed at 7:44 p.m. 422, hearing of the public regarding agenda items. For anyone who would like to address the governing board on a particular agenda item, your speaker slip will need to be turned at this time. Recognize and call the podium when your requested agenda item comes up. You'll have 3 minutes to address the governing board. 423, board approval, minutes for the April 17th, 2024 meeting. Is there a motion to approve? So moved. Second.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes unanimously. And we are at 5 correspondence communications, 5.1 correspondence with Dr.
The superintendent's office received the following correspondence regarding district business on these topics: the Spanish language immersion program, Measure MM projects, and summer programs. Thank you.
5.2, hearing of the public regarding non-agenda items. So we'll now call members of the public to request to address the governing board regarding items that are not on the agenda. Members of the public who would like to address the governing board regarding non-agenda items must completely submit a speaker slip at this time. And we have a couple. I'll just take them as they come. Number 1 is parent of former DMUSD student, and number 2 is a parent of former DMUSD student.
Hello again. Despite pulling the help of the ADL last year and filing uniform complaints reviewed by Mr. Stanley and Ms. Ha, we recognize that no positive change is going to happen in the school district, so we pulled both of our children this year. We recognize that no one at the school, at the district, or board level was going to address the bullying and discrimination at Del Mar Hills. Instead, Ms. Lee attempted to distract parents from her failure of leadership by putting up multiple no place for hate signs along the gates near the pickup line. We pulled the one child we had at the Hills after October 7th because of the continued violent anti-Semitic incidents that went unchecked by her after that date. Sadly, I'm aware of a number of more incidents that have come up that she's denying and covering up. A couple of months ago, we also pulled our other child from Sage Canyon, where they were daily being forced into a small room, supposedly a de-escalation strategy for a dysregulated child. In addition to having this done to my child, I saw it being done to other kids, and they still have nightmares about this. My child remains terrified specifically of one aide, Miss Samantha, who is the adult most frequently forcing them into this room. It took us a while to understand what was going on at that school in the South class, as the reports we got from our child differed from what Miss Parker, Miss Kitchens, Miss Stengel, and Dr. Ritter said. They kept telling us our child was safe and the placement in the program was appropriate, but our child began to wet themselves from the trauma. They are now in therapy. Ms. Schick refuses to acknowledge that the rooms used at Sage and in other schools across the district are seclusion or isolation rooms. Instead, she calls them reset rooms, while at Del Mar and Torrey Hills, the room is often called a calm down space. Whatever the name, forcing a child into an enclosed space, terrifying them, hearing them scream and cry from the other side of a doormat or a door, is a seclusion and isolation setup. As board members know, the district is now under investigation by the Federal Department of Ed's Office of Civil Rights for the systematic abuse of children built into the design of the SELF program that was designed by Ms. Schick and her special ed staff. I'm happy to report that since leaving Del Mar Union, my child is thriving now that they're once again part of a general ed class with minimal additional supports. The change in their experience of school is stunning and underscores for me the truly barbaric treatment they received at 3 different Del Mar Union schools. In fact, one staff member at the new school read my child's IEP and asked me, "Who wrote this? Someone who hates children?" There was no justification for the brutal treatment my child received, no excuse for forcing them to a room. Years of mistreatment have led to years of educational loss and a loss of social connections. I'm here to say to other parents that listening, you are not crazy. The district's approach to special ed is cruel and hostile, unethical, and frequently illegal. Dr. McClurg's continued support of Ms. Schick is unjustified, and the board's continued support of Dr. McClurg demonstrates a dereliction of duty.
And here's former DMUSD student review.
Following up on my wife's comments, I'm here tonight to ask if Holly McClurg has informed the board that in addition to the Office of Civil Rights investigation, Del Mar Unified is also under investigation by Disability Rights California for the illegal and unethical changes to eligibility categories of special needs children. As many of us parents know, Ms. Schick and her special education team have switched children's disability categories from autism or ADHD to emotional disturbance, ED. Since moving to another district, we have been made aware of how extreme of a label ED is. This hostile approach to kids stigmatizes them and inaccurately captures who they are and the help they need. For any other parents listening, if this has happened to you, you are not alone and it is not okay. Finally, what we want to say, we understand fully now why Board President Mock does not send his child to a Del Mar school. Now that both of our kids are out of the district, one in private and one in public school, the low standards and approach to education is clear. We get why Mr. Mock has chosen to send his child to a school that can provide his child with more challenging academic experiences. At our child's new school, the new public school, 8 classes are offered. Why are they not offered in this district if it is such an incredible district? The high test scores of Del Mar students are not a reflection of the quality of education in the classrooms, but on the fact that many of us parents choose to supplement our children's education with extracurricular academic instruction, both at local businesses and through informal parent groups held in homes and garages locally. Dr. McClurg sent out yet another video highlighting the beauty of the various school buildings today, and we heard it from many of you. But many of us would prefer that the money go to spending on children's academics. We would prefer that less money be spent on litigation with special needs families and more spent on actually helping kids in whatever way they need. Who cares about how beautiful a building is if what's happening in inside is not safe or the highest standards. Parents, do not get distracted by the shiny buildings. We are here to encourage others to withhold STEAM plus donations until full financial transparency is embraced by the board and district level leadership, is held accountable for the abuse and mistreatment of children and families. An incredible district does not find itself under multiple investigations, have an enrollment of only 50%, and does not spend more money on legal fees than the much bigger local high school district. An incredible, in Holly's own words, an incredible district is fiscally responsible and fiscally transparent. An incredible district supports all children, whatever their needs may be. An incredible district is inclusive and keeps children with special needs at their home school, allowing for the stability of relationships and community. An incredible district holds all staff to the highest standards and accountability. Thank you.
All right, 6.1, we're on the consent agenda, 6.1 to 6:16. Is there questions or anything they want to pull out from that?
Yes, I'd like to pull out 6.3, 6.11, 6.13, 6.15.
6.3, 11, 13, and
15.
15. Okay. Anyone want to make a motion to approve everything minus those numbers?
So moved.
All right, second.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Start with 6.3.
If you guys want to take a vote on 6.3.
Okay. No questions?
Yeah, my question is, who are we writing checks to? Some of the purchases that I'm not in agreement with, on the purchase order list, so, yeah, comment, question, I guess that's what that is.
Is there a motion to approve 6.3?
Actually, if I just ask a question, is there any particular purchase order on the list that you think deserves more scrutiny?
There's several, but I'm not gonna call them all out tonight.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a motion to approve 6.3?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
No.
All right, motion passes 4-1. And then we're at 6.11. Questions or comments?
Yeah, if we could just get more clarity on 6.11, so. Have we always had agreements, is this just renewal of agreements with these districts?
Yes, this is just the renewal agreement between San Diego Unified and Del Mar Union to sets the parameters of inter-district agreements.
Do we have districts with Poway, or an agreement with Poway?
Yes, this is just the San Diego Unified and the Carlsbad Unified are both expiring now. The others we have another year. They're on a different timeline, those two districts.
How many kids are we sending to other districts and how many are we receiving?
I don't have that number right now.
Okay. Other than staff members, are we receiving students from other districts? Staff members, children, sorry.
Yes.
Okay. How does one go about petitioning to get into this district from another district?
We have the inter-district transfer agreement available on our website, so an individual could fill out that application from the website.
Okay. How often do we not approve those, and for what reasons do we not approve them?
I don't have that number available, but the reasons for accepting are within our board policy for inter-district transfers. But this is specifically the agreement between us and the districts to recognize those transfers. This is not for individual transfers.
And so just for public information and knowledge, when a student's coming from an outside district that's not basic aid, how does that work fiscally?
I'm not sure I understand
So
your
if a
question.
student's coming from Poway or from San Diego Unified, do those dollars go with the student and
that student.
Okay. Okay, and then if we are sending a student to San Diego Unified, they're getting funding from us, or they're getting funding based off of the ADA of that student?
Based off of the ADA of that student.
Okay. All right, thank you.
If I can just follow up, I'm also curious, and not tonight, but maybe in the future, I'm just curious to know, we're just looking at 2 of them, but in terms of all the relationships we have, just an idea of the puts and takes, how many come which direction between each, and then if there's any financial impact, what does that net out? It may, get close to 0 at the end of the day or not, but just, I'd love to know a little bit more about the not necessarily the process, but just the magnitude of kids and magnitude of money, if it's significant at all.
Is there a motion to approve 611?
So moved.
Is there a second? All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? All right, motion passes unanimously. 613. Questions or comments?
Yes, so could, I'm not sure who, but, just give us more insight into the waiver and, why it's being asked for? I'd like to know, about the population of Pacific Sky that does qualify for Title I, like the number of students that qualify. This seems like this would allow Title I funds to go throughout the school rather than be focused on that population. So I'm just curious about that.
Sure, so the population of students, the percentage of students at Pacific Sky that qualify for free and reduced lunch is about 14% of students. So this waiver has gone through the site council at Pacific Sky because as a part of their SPSA, and that plan, intervention to support students in the area of reading is part of that plan. It's part of how the Title I dollars are, that's what it goes to fund. So it helps to support students that qualify for free and reduced lunch. This waiver then also allows us to support more students with that funding, to include those students that are qualifying with those funds.
So I guess my query is, what more can the students who are receiving the Title I funds access or utilize if the funds were just dedicated to them and not dispersed throughout the school? I'm just not getting a clear picture of how the funds are going to be dispersed and utilized, and I would hate to take away funding from students who may need it more than other students.
So this funding goes particularly to an intervention teacher who works at Pacific Sky to work with students who qualify for free and reduced lunch, as well as other students across the school site who could also benefit from additional instruction in the area of reading to help them move closer towards meeting reading benchmarks. In particular, this reading intervention teacher focuses on vocabulary acquisition and reading comprehension. So when you asked about what more could students receive, by agreeing to this waiver, it's just more students have access.
That part I understand. I understand more students have access. I'm just wondering what more, if you were to spread out the money amongst students who don't qualify for Title I funding, what other uses can you find for these dollars for just the Title I students?
So we use these funds again to help support reading intervention, which is another person within the building.
Again, it's part of their SPSA plan, which is agreed through the site council, so I can't answer the question about what else could students benefit from. The plan's created looking at data, looking at what are the needs across the school site, and then with that collective group, there has been an agreement to employ a reading intervention teacher there in order to help more students meet benchmark, to include students who receive free and reduced lunch.
At what other sites are we using Title I dollars with a waiver?
One other site.
And how's it been going? How long have we been doing that?
The sites that receive Title I funding can change from year to year. It depends on the population of students at the school site. So your question is, how long has the other school site been receiving Title I funds?
Yes, if there's one in particular that's been receiving it for a while, if you have some kind of a model of how using this waiver has benefited the other students, I'd like to hear about it.
Yeah, so the waiver benefits students because then we can look across the entire school site using data to help inform who would benefit from additional instruction in reading, and then include additional students in those groups. So that's how students are benefiting, and we use data to help track and monitor their progress.
I'm just wondering, so you haven't mentioned what other site is receiving Title I funding. I think Sycamore Ridge is one, but in the past has received Title I, or Delmar Hills. And if they've used waivers, have the students who are labeled or qualified as Title I shown significant improvement? Enough so that I feel comfortable saying, okay, go ahead and spread out these dollars to other students.
I can tell you that in the past, we have had waivers at all of our schools that use Title I funds. I can't provide you with data right now in the moment to talk about individual students and their progress towards meeting standards. I don't have that available to me.
I think that's important. I mean, just for me to feel like, okay, this is a good approach, just to have kind of some more metrics to say, all right, or maybe a comparison. We didn't choose to have a waiver this year and just dedicated funds to Title I students versus, this time we're going to use the reading intervention specialist or whatever the resources that you're using with this funding, just to have some kind of comparison. I think it's, I think, of course, allowing more students access to a reading intervention specialist sounds like a great idea. I just want to make sure that students who, I don't even know, are these the students that are really struggling? Because, you can be, qualified for Title I, it doesn't necessarily mean you're academically struggling. So is that what your thinking is on this? You're looking at the whole data set and seeing, okay, these students aren't even struggling academically, or only a handful are of the 14%. But it looks like, these students who are high income or XYZ need more academic support. I'm just trying to get a sense of where you're coming from.
So we would use data to inform our decisions around who needs intervention. So if a student isn't showing through data that they don't need intervention, they would not be part of an intervention group.
Okay, I get that. Of course, you're using the data. I just maybe bring us some data and show us who's needing it. Are they Title I students? Are they not? That would make more sense to have a clear understanding of why you want to spread out the funding.
Can I just ask a related question, or follow up to that? You mentioned the school site councils, and I served on school site councils for many years in 2 different school sites, and so I have some familiarity, but I wonder if you could just review what is the school site council and what is the role, who's on it, and what is their role as far as deciding where to allocate the funds, or recommending?
Yes, so our school site councils exist at all of our schools, and they are composed of school staff as well as parents from our community, and they work together with our school to create and oversee our school SIPSA plans, which are all available on our school websites. And so what our school site council does is they work with our staff to determine what are the needs across the school site. There's a budget that comes with the SIPSA plan. And so they make decisions together about how to allocate that funding to meet the needs of students across the school site. They make those decisions together. They meet multiple times a year to oversee that plan, how the money's being spent, and to see if there's any adjustments that need to be made.
I happened to be at Sycamore Ridge just this past week, and when I stopped in, Mr. Lamonaco, the principal, was actually in a meeting with a reading intervention specialist, and exactly what they were doing was going over the progress that every child, every student that she has worked with all year has been making, and it was really exciting. I actually sat through one whole grade level with them talking about this, so to see them actually looking at the data from where the child began and where the student was ending up was very exciting. And then of course some of the students entered or exited throughout the school year as well. So that's part of the process too, is the principal sits down with the intervention specialist and talks about every student. So it's very exciting. That was just a chance that I happened upon that timing. So it's with a lot of intentionality that they are monitoring the progress of children who are receiving intervention.
Yeah, again, I'm not trying to say don't have a reading intervention specialist. I just am still wondering about using Title I funds for it, because I don't know the needs of the Title I students.
So the recommendation by staff is that this should be school-wide, right? Yes, so, and it has been to school site council?
It has been to school site council. It's been approved by the school site council, and so we're bringing it to the board for approval tonight.
Okay, thank you for answering the questions.
Is there a motion to approve 611?
I'll move to approve.
Is there a second?
I think we need 6.13.
I'm sorry, my bad. 613. Is there a second for 613?
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously. And then I believe it's 615 is the last one.
Could you give us some insight into this new position, how many positions there are, because we have 2 split programs, how did it come about, and what will the role entail?
Yes, absolutely. So we are making sure that we're being responsive to the needs of our staff and to all of our students within all of our programs, but also within our SLIP. And so some of the feedback that we've received from our staff is, particularly for our kindergarten students in SLIP, we're mindful that they are 5 years old and they are being instructed primarily in a language that they don't speak yet. And so some of the feedback from staff was saying that it would be beneficial to be able to have an additional aid in the classroom to help support the classroom teacher and providing additional help with small group, reteaching, additional support, and being in the classroom through the entire time. So this new position is going to be supporting our kindergarten SLIP programs. And again, primarily for that reason that it's our students don't speak the language yet. And being that additional pair of hands would be very beneficial until they get a more solid foundation of Spanish in which they're being spoken to.
So just to be clear, there's going to be one at Palmer Hills and one at Ashley Falls. And what's the number of kindergarten students at Delmar Hills and at Ashley Falls?
Our class sizes for all of our sub-programs are at 25.
Okay.
Correct.
And we're looking at full classes of 25 again for the incoming school year?
Correct, and because we're anticipating those larger class sizes, we're expecting a full class of 25. That's why we're bringing this job description forward, to be able to have this additional person in place to support both programs at both schools for next year.
And just for reference, English class of kindergarten students is typically on average of this district is how many?
Our class size for English is at 22. We began with a larger class size of 25 to 25 students for our SLIP program, is because we know that they're going to be a cohort of students, and also recognizing that cohort of students is, as they're going to move through the system, we're also planning for some natural attrition within some of our numbers.
Thank you.
Board of Denmark, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Clerk, and members of the community. It's my pleasure to provide an overview of this year's proposed LCAP. As you know, our district has two robust plans. As you know, our district has a robust strategic plan by Destination 2028. The district strategic plan articulates DMUSD's vision, mission, and long-term objectives. Each year, priority actions related to the long-term objectives are selected following feedback from educational partners, which include our parents, district staff, and their students. In addition to this plan, the district is required to develop a local control accountability plan, or LCAP. This plan includes goals and actions related to 8 state priorities with a special focus on English learners, low-income students, foster youth, and those experiencing homelessness to ensure that these students are assisted in meeting state academic achievement goals. The 2024-2025 school year will be the first year of a new 3-year plan. The LCAP must address all 8 state priorities, which fall under 3 categories. Those include conditions of learning, engagement of students and families, and student outcomes. In the category of conditions for learning, we look at basic services, which includes ensuring that our staff are appropriately credentialed, that students have standards aligned materials and access to facilities that are in good condition. Also includes implementation of state standards so that we ensure that this is occurring for all of our students and that our teachers are receiving professional learning needed to help students learn. And then also, of course, access. This really applies more to secondary schools because it's about making sure that students have access to enrolling in required areas of study, career tech courses, and completion of college required coursework. In the area of engagement, we look at student engagement. So this requires students to monitor and improve if necessary, suspension rates and chronic absenteeism rates. Middle schools and high schools also monitor graduation rates. We also look at parent involvement, so do our parents have opportunities to be involved in their children's school and also provide input into the decision making that's happening at their school and their district. And then also school climate. So what are our students' sense of safety and school connectedness? We collect that through different surveys that our students take part in. And then finally, student outcomes is around ensuring that we are monitoring the academic achievement of all of our students through both our state and also locally selected assessments. So the LCAP is intended to be a 3-year plan, and as shared previously, next school year will be the first year of a 3-year plan. Actions can be carried over from one plan to the next if they effectively meet student needs. And each year the plan is evaluated to determine if adjustments are needed to actions or if new actions should be included. Proposed actions are informed through input in many sources, which include an analysis of student assessment data and also observational data gathered through school visits by district and site leadership. We also use data collected through surveys completed by our parents, staff, students, and other community members. And then in addition, we use information gathered through staff and student focus groups. Tonight we're going to focus on the responses to our spring educational partner survey. We had nearly 600 respondents to this survey, with close to 400 written responses as well. The first question on the survey is connected to the academic goal in our LCAP, and it asks, when you think about the academic needs of all of our students, what is the most important for our district to think about as we plan for the future? And our folks that were answering the survey had an opportunity to select any of 4 items that they felt were important. And nearly 64% of the respondents selected that continuing high-quality professional learning for our teachers was important. Over 58% selected providing support through a multi-tiered system of support. Over 53% selected providing age-appropriate design thinking principles into the professional learning opportunities, and nearly 50% selected a focus on ensuring that children have expanded opportunities for choice and developing agency. The survey then asked respondents to identify anything else that would be important for our district to think about when considering the academic needs of our students. 4 of the most common trends in those written responses included the importance of continuing with small class sizes, the need to provide differentiated learning opportunities for students who are academically advanced and also for those demonstrating gaps in their learning, a desire to continue high-quality professional learning structure to provide differentiated support and options for teachers, and also the importance of ensuring students obtaining the skills necessary to prepare them for real-world challenges. The second question on the survey focused on the social and emotional well-being of students and their school community. This question asked respondents to select, again, one of 4 areas that were provided for them that they believe were most important to our district in considering planning in the social emotional support for our students. Over 74% of the respondents selected supporting student social and emotional well-being. Over 63% selected the area focused on the environment that our students are learning in. Close to 53% identified empowering students and staff with the knowledge and skills needed to navigate digital platforms and leverage technology for student learning. And finally, close to 47% selected the area which makes a connection between the design of our school facilities and how that structure supports student learning experiences. Participants were asked to share what else was important for our district to think about in this area, and 3 trends emerged in that data. They included continued support for ensuring students are receiving appropriate mental health support and a desire for an increased availability of counselors. There was a strong desire to support student social, emotional, and behavioral development. And there was also a desire for parents to receive additional programmatic information and strategies that will assist them via their workshops. Using this survey data along with the other feedback elements that were shared previously, LCAP actions have been proposed for inclusion in this year's LCAP. Some of these actions have been carried over from prior years and others have been modified. For goal 1, we have the following actions. We will maintain our lower class sizes throughout all grade levels. We will be supporting teachers as they implement our new history social science curriculum. We continue to refine our professional learning model, which provides differentiated support and options for teachers. Ongoing professional learning will be offered in for our district frameworks, which include creating cultures of thinking and the essential elements of instruction, and also cognitively guided instruction and mathematics. And we will provide professional learning opportunities for teachers as they support students in becoming fluent readers. Another area for professional learning will focus on meeting the needs of our students who are learning English. And we will continue to provide Imagine Learning and literacy for students who are at the beginning levels of learning English as a supplemental intervention tool. We will continue to refine our multi-tiered systems of support with a focus on tools that will help to support the monitoring of student progress. We will continue to provide Tier 2 academic support personnel for math and reading. We will continue to support co-teaching teams and provide necessary professional learning and coaching. We will also expand opportunities for students related to coding, robotics, and design. LCAP 2, again, focuses on the social emotional wellness of our students, and the proposed actions for this goal include supporting student social emotional well-being through the collaboration of our counselors and instructional staff. And to support this work, we will increase from 7 counselors to 8. We will use the results of the Cell Web Social Emotional Survey to identify and address areas of need at each school, which will include the refinement of second step implementation. Site liaisons will be established for parents of students receiving special education services with the goal of increasing understanding of programs serving children with IEPs. We will examine school-wide structures that support student choice within learning environment, subject matter, and how learning is delivered. District technology leaders will be identified, and their focus will be on researching the impact of the digital world on students and share information and best practices in colleagues. We will continue the ongoing development and implementation of our district's diversity, equity, and inclusion plan. We will provide parent education series provide parents with tools to support the social emotional well-being and health of their children. We will continue to find the multi-tier systems of support structures to support the social emotional wellness and behavioral needs of children at all of our school sites. And finally, we will identify and implement research-based strategies to reduce chronic absences on faculty. So that concludes the overview of the proposed actions. The final process for the LCAP includes tonight's public hearing that was held earlier in this meeting. There will be an invitation to our community to provide feedback on the proposed plan that will be sent out tomorrow morning. That invitation will also be on our website. Results of this survey will be used to inform any revisions, the revision process over the next few weeks. And we'll bring a finalized LCAP to the board for consideration of approval. And then following board approval, we'll post that plan on our website and also submit it to the San Diego County Office of Education, who provides the oversight and ensures that we are in compliance with all elements of the LCAP. That concludes the board report. I am happy to answer any questions you may
Thanks, I have a question. So which committee is serving as the parent advisory committee for the LCAP?
Currently, that's a combination of our PTA presidents and our DLAC, which comes together and provides input on our LCAP.
Okay, so how can, if you're not a PTA president or a member of the DLAC or ELAC committees, how can you be on a parent advisory committee for the LCAP?
So that we post the meeting, the advisory meeting that we hold, we post an agenda for that at our district office. So the folks can attend if they would like to.
So they would attend the PTA meeting or the DLAC meeting or in
So
what forum?
So the advisory meeting is held as a joint meeting between the two, and that is posted so that folks can be able to join if they would like to. Am I answering your question?
It sounds like the committee that's overseeing the LCAP is made up of the PTA presidents and then maybe members of the DLAC.
The full DLAC committee.
Okay. But I'm just not, so again, it doesn't seem like there's a committee that's separate and apart from PTA, DLAC, they're their own thing. Doesn't sound like there's a parent advisory committee that's just dedicated to LCAP. Why is that?
So the committee that we have serving is the committee that Vivian has described, and all the agendas are posted. It's an opportunity for others to join in that committee meeting.
Okay. So it's open, so you're talking about LCAP at every single PTA and DLAC, or just specific times?
We talk about the LCAP while it's in the development process, and so that occurs at certain points in the school year. Typically, at this time in the school year is when those discussions happen, because it's in process of creation, and that's where we're getting lots of feedback, and so attending that meeting is another opportunity for
Which meeting?
the meeting of the PTA, the combination of the PTA president and DLAC meeting.
ask a question about the survey. You had how many respondents?
It was close to 600 respondents.
And roughly speaking, what were the constituencies of staff versus parents versus others? I think I took the survey, I just can't remember what my choices were.
70% of the respondents were parents, and 25% of the respondents were staff members. And those numbers equal warrant because we have some staff members who are also parents. So that's why we can move that.
Great. And then just a couple maybe comments about what I saw coming out of this. So what I appreciated in the proposed actions was maintaining lower class sizes, which I think is, we're hearing as a priority of the district. But I'm also noticing a lot of focus on professional learning. And coincidentally, last night when you were speaking at the strategic design, one of the issues that came up was keeping up with changes in technology and social media, and how do you do that? And so maybe I'm getting ahead of myself at the September meeting of the strategic design, but is what part of the professional learning is focused on keeping up with technology and issues such as that?
So there's the action item that refers to identifying technology leaders. Our focus there is on developing leaders so that they can provide support, site level support in that area.
To add, we will be focusing on technology in general and students' digital lives to make sure that they have healthy habits related to their use of technology, and also focusing on the use of artificial intelligence, so that as we know it's more intertwined with our students and our staff's lives, that we're making informed decisions about our use. We can help students make informed decisions about theirs. An additional layer to that is our digital citizenship curriculum that we use. And so we continue to work with staff and our leadership team to review what's in our digital citizenship program, what those lessons are, to see what else, if they need to be revised and reviewed each year, so that our staff can use those lessons with students in the classroom.
Thank you. And then one other comment on goal 2 proposed actions. I was pleased to see the 4th bullet on site liaisons for parents of students receiving special education services. And maybe I'm getting ahead of myself again, but what will be the process to roll that out? Is that something that's going to take a little while and require first the step of approving and then other types of actions, but just wanting to know what the thinking is either tonight or maybe in a future session, if you could share that.
I would be happy to in a future session. We're in the very beginning stages of really determining what that process will be and really describing that position. But overall, we're looking for a parent liaison to be there as a support for particularly a parent, maybe for a student who is first being identified as requiring services from an IEP, really to be able to support a parent in seeking the appropriate person if they have questions, where to go, and how to get involved, and to really increase engagement for our parents of students with disabilities.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're at 8.2, board report from the superintendent review of the district.
Tonight I'll provide a regular update as we do throughout the year on a review of our district goals. This will be the final one of this year. As you know, we do this periodically throughout the school year. And sometimes it's this type of a report, other times it is another kind of presentation that we provide to you to give an update on priorities that we have going on in the district. So it has been a great year. I'm going to tell you a few of the highlights as we move through the evening. I will touch on some. As you know, we do this throughout, so I won't hit everything. We have a lot of priorities for all of our levers and provide you with updates regularly. So these are our 4 levers: learning experience, responsive and caring culture, stewardship of resources, and design influence. So we'll start with lever 1, and I'm touching on 3 primary areas tonight: academic achievement, what our 2 frameworks are, and the progress this year, teacher leadership, voice, and choice. All 3 of these have been definitely front and center in what we've been working on this year. Our 2 frameworks continue to be the essential elements of instruction and creating cultures of thinking. You can see here some of the successes in this area around really paying attention to what is the learning experience, and we do a very, very exceptional job of being very all-encompassing of what it means to have our a high-quality teaching and learning happening in our district every day in every class, and supporting that. As we heard a little bit about earlier, we just completed our fellows group of first group of teacher leaders for creating cultures of thinking. It was exciting to have teachers from throughout the entire county, as well as administrators coming to hear that. And we just finished our first cohort of teachers with essential elements of instruction that we're providing for our newer teachers to the district. So it's exciting to see that differentiation happening for our teachers. We're also very proud of our world language program that we've heard a lot about, and have just exceptional things happening throughout our district in our classrooms. We have the finest educators in our community, and as you can see by what we recognized earlier, it is our people that make this exceptional learning experience happen. Lever 2 is a new lever that we added this year, and it is definitely no surprise that it's been a focus and highly valued throughout the year. We're looking at student well-being, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and we just finished our focus group. So I mentioned it a little bit earlier, but our high emphasis on making sure that children are valued and that all of them belong continues. And we are all working on building relationships so that everyone flourishes and really can thrive in our district. One thing that has definitely risen to the top of what's highly valued this year is our counselors. Our counselors working hand in hand with our classroom teachers and working with the entire staff has been highly valued, and the impact of that is definitely seen district-wide. The impact on our students feeling connected, our students feeling successful, and our students feeling supported with their unique needs that they have. We just finished focus groups with all of our staff at all of our schools. We also finished different kinds of focus groups with parents, and we did focus groups with students at all of our schools. So that's exciting to see. And you can see here by a couple of photographs here show our students and their involvement with this particular lever. The top one here, students are pledging to stick together in support of one another. That middle photograph is actually one of our counselors in one of our classrooms delivering or actually working with our students on maintaining friendships and what's involved in that. They also do with classrooms problem solving, emotional regulation, so that is a way that our counselors are impacting every child in every school. And the bottom right here, friendship lessons. These children are working together on examples of ways to be trustworthy as a friend. So again, the impact on every child throughout our K-6 program is very profound. Lever 3 is stewardship of resources. You can see here our focus on strategic partnership and professional affiliations. Those partnerships really do lead to exceptional work and intentionality and great results. We work with leading researchers and relevant experts, both locally as well as far as nationwide. And that investment in our people in working with through those partnerships results in such a highly skilled staff and really well-articulated goals that actually produce just exceptional results with our staff. You can see our high-quality professional learning. Our investment in our staff absolutely pays off. Another part of this lever is our stewardship of resources. It is, again, is our budgeting, the strong fiscal health of our district continues. You will hear a little bit more about that. You've heard already about the recycling and the reduction in waste earlier on. And I do have to call out specifically our Child Nutrition Services Department. It's hard for me to believe that 1 year ago today we did not have the Child Nutrition Services Department, because it is so robust and of such high quality. And the fact that they cook and deliver thousands of meals for breakfast and lunch every day in our own kitchen, and last year we were still trucking in every one of those meals from an outside vendor, an outside service, is truly profound. So it is amazing. Not only has that changed, the fact that our children have been involved in the development of the program. You even heard them tonight. They know they have a voice. If they don't like fish sandwiches or the fish, they're going to tell us, and then we don't have that anymore. And so it's really exciting to hear them actually own that and be a part of the process and help us. So I know our CNS department does taste tests regularly. They try out a new menu item, they take it to sometimes one of our schools and they have the children try it, give feedback, and then that either makes it district-wide or it doesn't. So it has been a huge success, and I'm so thrilled with where we are with that. And it's amazing that has happened throughout the last year. So great intentionality and wonderful planning. Again, as far as I'll go back up for a moment, building and modernization, one of their busiest seasons of the year is summertime. So they actually take care of so much deferred maintenance and actually attend to all of the things that we see as our schools are actually closing down with students. They do so much during the summertime, and the hard work and tireless efforts of our MLNF staff to keep our facilities looking fantastic is very noticed and appreciated by our entire community. And our last lever is the design influence. This is a slightly different lever from before because it really is about the design of the entire school experience. And I'll tell you a couple of things that stand out with this in our work over this school year. Our unrelenting pursuit of the extraordinary school experience for our children continues to have our students at the heart of it. We look at how the role of the student and the role of the teacher is changing based on changes in our world, and make those connections and those pedagogical shifts so that we are actually meeting their needs and they want to come to school. And they feel joy at school, and they feel just the right amount of challenge at school, and they feel the rewards of learning and growing every day. And we hear from our parents and students that the opportunities to innovate and to create and to design related to grade level standards are highly prioritized. That is very complex to make learning very meaningful and standards based, and our focus on that is absolutely where it needs to be in order to meet the needs of our kids today. So it's been exciting to see the professional learning around all of that. I know you've heard about all of it throughout. One of the partnerships that we embarked on this year was with Code to the Future, and our innovation technologists have been working closely in a trainer-of-trainer models to work to actually bring coding and robotics experiences to our students that are at higher levels than ever before. So that has been just a wonderful way to actually improve and enhance what we've already got in place in our district as far as what is that overall design of the experience. Yes, do the environments fit in here, but environments are actually part of creating that situation so that our students, our teachers are able to have the kinds of interactions and involvement and engagement with the kinds of learning and the right people that they need at the right time. So it's been exciting to see all of that happen throughout the school year, and it has been a very, very successful year. I thank everybody, and Jason just left. Obviously, extremely proud of the level of work and expertise of our teachers. We have prioritized teacher voice and choice and differentiated experiences for our teachers this year, and to see their leadership shine in so many ways. They are leading professional learning. They're having other teachers in their classrooms and observations and snapshot observations. So all of those things are just a testament to a very healthy culture where we embrace learning and growing and making sure that we are in front of and on top of what we need to be as far as the changes in the world and how they're impacting the educational environment. We will continue that focus into the next year, and as was talked about earlier, the strategic planning team is one way, one moment in time to bring a cross-section of people throughout. We have lots of other ways that we get input from people to help to inform what should our next steps be in focus areas. So appreciate all of the board's involvement throughout the year, the vision setting that you do, and how you support the actual actions that come in place throughout the year through everything that we bring to you at each board meeting as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Holly, for the presentation. I just want to quickly highlight a couple of your highlights. And with the counselors, I have heard pretty much across the board that they have been a great addition. And I'm really happy that here that there's additional counselors. I've just heard that they've been a wonderful help to be able to help with the social emotional needs of students, which these days are kind of completely continuing to increase and are different than they used to be. There's always additional things that they need to regulate and work on. And so the counselors and they will help with that and come and teach lessons, and it's been really helpful. Then you have the nutrition service has also been wonderful. I was able to speak with Jamie in the kind of during the break and tell him like how much different it has been since from last year or previous year when we didn't have a service, and now he's been there. And I've even heard great things from other districts about how great of a job that he's done here. And the other thing I mentioned was that the fish sandwiches, and he said that that's only it was a Lent thing. It was only a one-time thing at Lent, so comment taken, and we'll be refined. So thank you.
Yes, thank you. Exciting, thank you. And we're excited about next year.
Can I ask questions?
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Absolutely.
So for Lever 3, you mentioned strategic partnerships and professional affiliations. So my question is about the UCSD partnership. Could you expand on that one?
Yes, we do quite a bit with UCSD. We also are connected with Learner-Centered Collaborative that works collaboratively with UCSD. So it's typically instructional services, sometimes superintendents, where we come together for various kinds of more of a consortium kind of a collaborative experience with other districts. It's oftentimes held at UCSD around various topics regarding what's currently happening in the world, connections that we need to be making to pedagogy and, for example, AI. Those types of conversations are the conversations around that typically are what are bringing various districts. It's usually just districts in San Diego County, but some of them are also Orange County, LA County, that there are our counterparts coming together in partnership that UCSD and the County Office of Education are sponsoring.
And this is falling under stewardship of resources. Why?
Because we actually prioritize that, what are we, because we're all a resource. Our people are a resource. So what are we spending our time on? We're spending our time with the right partnerships. We're spending it's one of our resources is who we are and who we affiliate ourselves with.
Okay. So I know we've spent a lot of money on consultants this year, and I don't see consultants on the stewardship of resources. But I am wondering about the partnership with UCSD. I asked about it last board meeting. I still don't know what became of that.
Are you talking about Better Together?
I don't know. Was that what it was called with Dr. Alan Daly?
Yes, that is the Better Together partnership regarding some of the, how are we measuring the progress that we're making on parts of our strategic plan. And so that will be upcoming in July. Yes.
July or August?
Yes.
We're getting sooner than that. We haven't had any updates since he came that first time.
They've been working, right.
But we don't know what has happened with that, the board. So I don't know what surveys have been implemented and to whom. I mean, we approved, I think it was like, tens of thousands of dollars for this partnership, but what's become of it? We don't know. And
So that, right, so
so
that is
there.
regarding the Better Together partnership, that's the survey that has been going on throughout this year, the development of the survey that they're doing, that they do, and then they administer the survey to certain grade levels, parents and all staff, and then they statistically analyze and will report back the results to the survey. I believe it's July or August, it might be August.
But I thought that this partnership included, maybe some kind of guidance. You know, yes, there's a survey, they create a survey, or they help you guys design a survey, the survey's implemented and issued. So we get results, but then does the partnership end? Because I.
Right, that, the Better Together partnership really is around the survey and the statistics that they're doing for that.
And are they also involved in, because they're consultants, so do they help develop strategies based off survey results, or is it just survey? And
They help to analyze the results, report back, and then we make sense of it as far as what it means for our district.
Okay, yeah, I would just like to, I think when I heard the presentation, I don't remember when it was, a long time ago now, from Dr. Daly's his name, right? Yeah, I think I got the sense that there would be a bit more updating from him as far as, you know, what his findings are and sharing out with the board, or maybe him giving us some feedback as to what the survey would contain. I don't think that that's been the case, and I'm slightly dismayed about that. So if we could get some kind of update on that partnership.
Yes,
I would
that's coming in
appreciate it.
July or August, yes.
July or August, okay. And so that's taking us into the next school year. What kind of implementation and change can we affect for, so do you have the survey results?
Not yet, so they will be presenting them to all. Ryan, do you want to speak to the survey or provide any additional information about timing?
Yes, so as Holly said, right now we're working with Dr. Daly. So as Holly said, they have completed administering the survey. So we've given the survey to all of our certificated staff. We were able to, our certificated staff, all of our principals were able to identify a staff meeting to ensure then that all of our certificated staff had a chance to kind of take it. And so that led to a really high response rate. So everyone had a chance to do it then. We then also provided time for our classified staff to be able to complete the survey during their workday as well. So again, really wanting to make sure that we were able to receive that feedback. And then we have 2 grade levels that we are targeting. And so, and through Dr. Daly's advice, so we then targeted 2 particular grade levels to administer the survey to, and then we had all of our students in those 2 grade levels have taken the surveys, and then in turn also their parents have taken those surveys. So at this point in time, all of those surveys have been completed, and what we are doing, and I will say Dr. Daly has said that he's actually very happy with our level of completion rate, the participation rate, the completion rate. He said that they're very good, and so as a result of that, they're going to have a lot of reliability, validity in their findings based on the high response rate. So we're working with Dr. Daly to be able to come and present to us his preliminary numbers, and then some of those preliminary numbers, those findings, and then also what Dr. Daly said that they'll be able to provide is then, as speaking to some of those recommendations, then is using the research from his end, identifying where are the really high leverage areas or moves then that would really then help move the district forward. So that's what we're working with Dr. Daly right now, is we'll have an opportunity for him to come back and share preliminary findings with us. And then we're also working with his schedule to get him to the board. And as Holly said, we have that scheduled for July or August.
Yeah, July or August. So, yeah, because I think that this all came about having him come on board because there was a sentiment amongst, staff and maybe the community to have kind of like an independent auditor, if you will, of district performance. So,
Correct, and that's why when you're asking, do we have the surveys? We don't have it. It's everything.
Yeah.
They're the stewards of it. It's
Right.
it's housed with them.
yeah, I guess I just want to make sure that we're getting the results from the source who's administering the survey and then getting the recommendations or feedback. I get that you guys get it and analyze and interpret and do things as well, but I think they've got to be giving some kind of recommendations of their own. And so I'm hoping that we can hear about that.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Sorry, one other question, Holly. I appreciate that you have partnered with, I don't know what the name is, Reduction in Waste and Increase. Is that the name of the company that we partnered with for the
BCK.
BCK, okay. And you've got Coach the Future. Are there, I'm just curious if you guys get, like, there's so many industries in here in San Diego County. If you, either maybe through the county office of ed or the industries themselves are reaching out, are there other partnerships that we could take advantage of, not for our teachers, for our students? Because I think it's such a meaningful way for students to get hands-on experience in real world industries like they're doing with this coding. I don't know about that one yet. I can't wait to hear about it, but green teams.
Yes, that is definitely something that's coming up as probably moving forward, going to be even a higher priority focus area for us is those local partnerships. I mean, some of them we do have BCK, there are, some of them are quite local. And what other partnerships can we actually embark upon? And maybe they're more articulated as far as long-term, and sometimes they're not. They can be people who can influence and inform some of the work we're doing in the classrooms and our schools with children. So it's definitely coming out as a priority area that will be really exciting to look at even into the next school year.
Yeah, I know, I know you have to qualify for some of these programs, but I know there's guarded partnerships.
Exactly.
But I don't think our schools qualify for the ones I'm thinking of, but maybe there are others out there that we could, it's just one idea, but
Yes.
I would love to see more of those types of things within our schools, in addition to STEAM, which is also amazing, but.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. 9.1 board report facilities update. Crystal Hanty from Los Altos.
Good evening, President Bond, Board of Trustees, Superintendent McClure, Cabinet. It's a pleasure to provide the facilities update for the month of May. So I'll be presenting on our two major projects that we have going on. It's the Del Mar Hills Academy modernization and the Del Mar High School rebuild. So the Del Mar Hills Academy modernization, as you know, we are slated to start construction in June of 2024 and be completed by next summer in 2025. Erickson Hall will begin mobilizing to the school side and setting up some fencing, their construction trailers starting June 3rd. And we've also planned to move from Del Mar Hills to Ashley Falls and the Del Mar Heights side, and want to thank the structural services company as well for helping coordinate and plan out that move from furniture and teachers, everything that goes with all of that. And then we've also are getting ready to sell 6 of our portables that will also help offset some of the cost of the project, so we'll have some savings there. So thank you for approving that resolution. Then we do the Del Mar High School rebuild. We are now at a little bit over 85% complete overall. We've reduced the number of workers on site to around 110 daily. Some of the scope or contractors have completed their part of the project, so they moved offsite. That's why the number of workers have reduced. It's not that we're slowing down there, we're just moving on to other portions of the project. And building A, which is the admin building, the is ongoing. Caseworkers also has an install. Building C, where we've completed the install of the carpet. In building M, casework continues to be installed, and then we this week actually started the installation of the field sod. And I'll show you some of those pictures with you up next. And also I'd like to highlight and thank the staff on the we've been a huge milestone in getting our internet and our Wi-Fi up and running on that that side, so that happened this month. So it's a huge milestone. So we'll be ready for all of our technology to be and then also we are prepping to have our 6th grade promotion there on May 31st. And it's still going to be at the active construction site, but we're working with Dr. Baby on making sure that we, to safeguard the building and our students and all successful promotion for our 6th graders. And here you can see completed classroom off the top picture. The bottom left is the field work that was prep work that was happening right before this sauna installation. So you see some of it's not water, it's the gopher mesh that's being installed in some of the topsoil there. And we've had huge success over at with that process. So, that was mentioned in this project. And then our learning on it, you can see it at its completion with the carpet, the walls, the TV mounted, the doors and windows all installed as well. And then lastly, here's an aerial shot that was taken a couple weeks ago. You can see the site coming together, all the buildings up. You can see sort of the outline of the field, and then the playground up in the middle, and then sort of like the boardwalk, the trailers that'll be that's installed there as well, and then the outdoor amphitheater and seating area outside of the serving and lunch area as well. And with that, I take the presentation. Questions?
Do we have an update on busing?
We are at the point we've gotten a survey. We have enough families that would like busing from both of the locations that will be having 2 stops, and then we're both one at the Boys and Girls Club area and one at Dummer Heights, and then we're working through some final communication with San Marcos and looking at how we could include with the busing coming back in the afternoon to help make sure the students that are attending Boys and Girls Club can get to Boys and Girls Club as well. So we'll get some communication out before the end of the school year. We have a couple of things that we're working through just to make sure that we have final detail and we can give the best information we can. And then we'll send out, just like we have with Dummer Heights, a final survey in August to just make sure that we have as many of the names as we can on the list so that the school site knows and San Marcos knows that we can set up the bus passes and the pieces that just help us to track and run that safely.
Thank you. And then, can you guys issue like some kind of a DSA for what's going to be accessible at the hills and what's going to be accessible at the heights over the summer? Like, what can the community expect to be able to use at each location? Can we use the fields? Can we not use the fields? Can we use the playground? Can we not use the playground? That kind of thing.
Yeah, so we have communicated with the Boys and Girls Club, and then we'll have use of most of the grass field, and then one of the play structures that will remain at the bottom that won't be touched, at least the beginning portion of the project. So we'll work with principal students to communicate that as well to the community.
So over the summer, will everyone still be able to use the fields at the hills? And then what is going to be accessible over the summer at the heights? Because I know you guys are putting new grass down, and
I would expect that nothing is available at the heights for the summer.
nothing's available at the heights.
If we can open something up earlier, we will. We're actually in a very fortunate spot to have sod down now because it allows us to then open the school with the sod versus Pacific Sky where we're putting it in and we have to keep kids off of it for a month. So we're in a good spot, but with things like that, it's very hard to open a site without a bunch of oversight and say, you can't go on the field, but you can go on this. There's still be work going on through parts of July. So
you guys will just keep the fence up?
Or at least the exterior locks to the interior, as opposed to once the school's open, where we'll have it unlocked so that the community could get into the site outside of the school day.
And then maybe looking forward for when we want to open it up to the community. I appreciate that we've got the school community that can get messaging, but also thinking about how we reach out to the community. I know on the site visit, Paul, you talked about, Chris, you talked about having some open houses for the community. So I think that's a great way to publicize for people to come on at specific times. I think to maybe Catherine's point, it would be good to do some over communication on, you know, when it's actually safe to go, and they're welcome to come, say on weekends when school is open.
Great. I just wanted to quickly just say that the Gopher mesh really works really well. It's a good investment. Like I was at Torrey Hills, and they haven't had a gopher in like the several years that's been, which was it honestly was a big problem before. Not a problem anymore. So it'll be great for Heights.
Sorry, one question, just because I should go first. So, will you, is there a relocation for Gopher Company? Because they are all over the hills, they're popping out all the time, and just go back with little guys, because you guys are planning on doing some kind of mesh there as well, or not?
We will finish the renovation of the field at the hills after the project is complete. But just with the Health and Schools Act, there's just a certain way that we can treat the gophers. We can't just gas them, or take them off and relocate them. So we do work with our Western company to treat and sort of help us with the population of the gophers. But it is a huge problem. And the gopher has.
They're very happy at the hills. We love it there.
Great, thank you very much. At 10.1, board review, first reading, proposed 2024-25 budget and any fund balances. Chris Delante and Tiana.
Good evening, President Hawk, and the board, Dr. McClure. It's our pleasure this evening to bring the first read to you. This is the first read of the 2024-2025 budget. We'll also include in this the inclusion for general fund estimated actuals, and so we're bringing those, well, as you know, come in September with the unaudited actuals where the books are totally closed. So with this first read, we will be sharing information and budget information that is up to date to this point and gives you the general context of our budget. And you'll notice that the SACS document is much smaller in this because it's the first read of it. It's the estimated actual before we close the books. And so we'll come back to the board and we'll do another update in June with the adoption where we'll be able to update it further and have even truer numbers that we'll be able to, or not truer, but more updated numbers where we've been able to spend even another month on it. So we look forward to providing this first read and then the update in June, and that is really kind of what's that we're looking ahead, where we'll be providing the revised updates at the end of this presentation, as well as looking forward to our June adoption for our funds. So with that, I'll ask Tiana to take over estimated actuals.
Thank you, Chris. Good evening, President Hawk, members of the board, and Dr. McClure. I will be reporting on our current year estimated actuals, so estimating how we're going to close out the year. At our March 13th meeting, the board approved second interim financial report, and so we'll be taking a look at, starting with our revenues, we'll be taking a look at adjustments made since second interim and through estimated actuals. So as you can see, our estimated actuals are going to be $75.3 million, which is just a slight increase from our second interim report, also 75.3, there was a slight increase in our revenues. And some of those adjustments included the STRS on behalf contribution, which as you know are also offset in the expenditure side, and then adjustments to our interest earnings and school site fundraising and donations are reported as they're received, so they are also reflected in the revenues and the expenditures. We also had a decrease of our expanded learning opportunities program apportionment due to the state implementing a new grading system, and we're classified as a grade 2 district. And then moving into the estimated actuals for expenditures, you can see our second interim was at $76.9 million with a slight increase in expenditure adjustments, bringing our estimated actuals at $77 million. Those adjustments include the offset of the revenue for the STRS on behalf contribution, as well as making sure our third and fourth graders have their Chromebook refresh, so a slight adjustment there. And then again, our school site fundraising and donation expenditures are reported as
did have an increase to our water, and electric, so we did talk about the increases of utilities when we reported on second interim, and so we do also have, more increases on that level. And then taking a look at our ending fund balance, then you can see that our ending fund balance for estimated actuals is the 21.6 million. Our restricted monies are 3.5 million, and our unrestricted reserve percentage is at 23.6. And then with that, I'll turn it back over to Chris to discuss the proposed budget for next year.
So we'll start with budget priorities, and so we've actually talked a fair amount about this today. We have a number of budget priorities that have been identified by the board, by staff, over a couple of years, the recent years. These really impact our whole K-6 program. These priorities have been supported and identified through things like our budget workshops that we held in the fall, feedback that we received from our staff and community, include things like our small class size. We have actually an average size of about 22 and a half students in our 4th through 6th grade classrooms. So we're keeping our class size that forward direction to staff at 25, but then the average ends up, as we heard from even Jason's days, Jason Romero's days, where they don't come in those clean packages, and so our class size average of 22 and a half, keeping that small class size. STEAM Plus and the robust STEAM Plus program, we continue to support. We have wonderful support from the STEP Foundation. The district also is the biggest supporter in STEAM, the largest amount of money in supporting that STEAM Plus program. We have a wide variety of support for student well-being and success. School counselors have come up a number of times tonight. We added a counselor for the 23-24 school year. We're adding another counselor, so we'll have a total of 8 counselors for the 24-25 school year. We have a number of differentiated supports where we are looking at things like including classrooms that keep students in district and support their learning and behavioral needs in district rather than sent out of the district. Our mathematics and reading intervention teachers, we have these teachers that provide supports for students who may be struggling or may be working towards grade level. And as Allison spoke about, there is a lot of work that goes into reading data, looking at what are the needs, and then using those supports. And having those intervention teachers is what allows us to do something and have really targeted supports for students when we identify that there's a need. Co-teaching is another area that has been an area that we've been focused on. It supports the needs of both our general ed and special education students while keeping our students with special needs in their homeroom classroom for a large portion of the day. And so we supported that with funds and staffing as well. In addition, we have continued to prioritize our 9 neighborhood schools that have smaller enrollments, but all allow our students and families to attend a neighborhood school that is closer to their place of residence. Our world language program continues to expand. We will be going into our 4th grade this year, and that has become a tremendous program providing our families a language immersion option, while we also continue to have our 6th grade Spanish so that all of our students have an opportunity to begin learning the second language before they move to DMUSD. And then, of course, we focused on our deferred maintenance and our OPEB trust funds to defray long-term liabilities. We look at things like post-employment benefits for our retirees or facilities needs in the long term. So with that, we'll look at our budget revenue. And when we look at this revenue, our pie chart, as you know, the largest portion of our pie comes from our property tax, as you all mentioned, as a basic district. And so not all of those LCFF sources, but a large portion of those LCFF sources come from our property tax. Tiana mentioned the STRS on behalf contribution, and so that is where from the state we have the contribution for STRS goes through as a revenue and associated expenditure, so that's included in this as well. And we have our DMUSD funds allocated towards student salary and benefits. The assumptions we have, we are assuming a property tax revenue of 3% above the current year. We have our state aid budgeted at 1.17. I think this is especially important to highlight because this amount is the past allocated category funding less the permanent base aid reduction, which came in the Great Recession. And so when we look at an uncertain budget and from the state level, this is kind of the worst case scenario that can happen to a basic aid district. And so it's something this is the reason why we keep a close eye on the state budget. Is why we try to maintain a healthy reserve. Our education Foundation Protection Account's budget is a little over $700,000, and it's based on our P2 ADA. So at this point, ADA is calculated, so it's average daily attendance, it's not enrollments, and it's calculated over a 3-year average. And then we had budgeted $1.13 million for the foundation, but we had a pleasant surprise tonight. We'll actually have a little bit increase over that based on the sharing from the foundation enrollments. And then as you look at expenditures, you'll notice that we often talk about we are a people business. And so in looking at this, 85% of our pie here is salary and benefits because our people are what make up our district. We are at $76.5 million total in expenditures. And that is made up of assumptions that start with the $1,000 increase to the health cap, which came from the collective bargaining agreement that was agreed on in January of this year. But when we do a health cap increase, those health cap increases are for the next July 1 because it kicks in with the next fiscal year. So that is an already agreed upon, but this is the first time that it's being realized. As I shared, we have an additional counselor. We'll continue with our trust contribution. We have an increase in pension rates. FERS is set to go up, and there is some very tiny silver lining. FERS is actually set to go up a little bit less over the next couple of years than it was before, but it's still seeing 27.8%. It was 11.7% before they started doing increases we're at now. So STIRS is set to remain flat, which is appreciated, but still quite a bit above where it was in 2014 when we started the increases. And then we'll have our student Chromebook refresh, and we will continue with student transportation, but now with Del Mar Hills modernization, and should be comparable amount to the budget before. So our ending fund balance has a very slight increase in the ending fund balance, and keeps us a little over 23% in the total uninsured on reserve, staying above the 20% that the board has directed, and we are continuing to try to keep it a little bit higher than that to support the needs of the district and potential uncertainties that we may have. When we have a reserve that is beyond the state required 3%, you have to substantiate need is the terminology, and so to substantiate the need, we take away that 3% and we have a $17.5 million to substantiate. We have basically stabilization reserve pensions, future obligations that except $4 million of that. We have the board policy of 15%, which is the $11.5 million, and then we still have some money in Fund 17 that is reserved towards our simplification. We are in the midst of finalizing the numbers and determining what the need for the contribution for 23-24 will be based on the final numbers for this CMS program. Jamie's done an excellent job, and as we get to the budget adoption, we'll have even more solid numbers for you. We will continue to reserve for that for next year, and then we'll see where we are with getting closer to a cost-neutral CMS program and whether there's funds that could be reallocated to something else. Finally, looking ahead, the governor's made budget revision is dealing with the budget for the shortfall. So the budget shortfall comes from, if you remember, our property taxes, we had a delay when we had to pay property taxes in 2023. So the 22-23 fiscal year for the state of California, they had to make a 23-24 budget before they knew the actual revenues. That closed the books on 22-23, where districts were apportioned money. And then when 23-24 came in and property taxes came in much lower, what school districts should have gotten from the calculation was about $8 billion less than what school districts got. But the Constitution for the state of California says once you're apportioned the money, it is part of what is Prop 98, which is the guarantee for schools. So the state is in a kind of a conundrum of, we don't want to associate this $8 billion because it means that they have a higher liability, a higher minimum guarantee for districts. But districts, when they came up with a different way to do it, at first it was we're keeping you whole, but then a number of CSBA has been very vocal, CTA has been very vocal. I was just at a meeting today where they were talking about the budget, and the director for CSBA, Patrick O'Donnell, was there, and so they're really pushing very hard on keeping that base. The problem is that they don't have the money. So this leads to, there really is an unknown as to how will they fund the Prop 98, depending on how this all plays out. So we have really like less than a month. There's going to be a lot of wheeling and dealing in the background, and we're not going to know quite what's going to happen. The upside, the very positive piece, is it has been committed to protecting K-14 funding. That's come through with each iteration of the budget. Universal meals has been protected, which is a big priority of the governor and of many in the legislature. The ULOP program has been protected, which is also a very big priority of the governor. And they are funding COLA, which is only 1%, but it's going into things like special education and ULOP. So right now, it is probably as good as it could be for especially a district like ours, because you're funding the programs that are supporting our students, like universal meals and extended learning opportunity program. But there's a lot of unknown, and so we'll have more to share with the board when we have the budget adoption. We're watching it very closely. I know that again, groups like CSBA, CASBO, AXA, every group is part of this advocacy and conversation. I would just say to anybody in the room, there are going to be points in time where if you're associated with these organizations, they're going to ask you to, a call to action. Fill this out and let your elected representatives know. Those do help. So I'm sure that as board members will get CSBA city calls to action. I would just suggest that it's definitely worth reading through those and potentially putting those through. Because numbers matter and things like that when we look at state level. As we look forward as our district, we'll have the June adoption for all funds and at our June 26th board meeting. And we are also planning some budget workshops this fall within the facilities. So we're working on updating our facilities master plan. We'll plan to bring to develop a budget workshop for the board and hold a budget workshop with initial information, initial findings, initial next steps of the facilities master plan. And then have a second board meeting after getting feedback from the board, after bringing that information, where we can bring an updated proposed facilities master plan, and then bring that to a board meeting where we could approve that. And so really, this is a really good time of finishing the Delmar Heights project that I shared with the board. Having that and having some knowledge as to what is the true number on Delmar Heights will help us with looking at the program as a whole. And so we look forward to doing that work over the summer and being able to give responses to the board. With that, we'd be happy to answer your questions.
So I'm thinking back to last year when we were ready to enter into the new school year, and we took a look at our enrollment expectations versus actual. We had to do a little bit of, I wouldn't say scrambling, but we had special meetings and so forth. So I'm just curious in terms of the timing of budget workshops. Will we be doing it at a time where we'll be able to factor that in? And do we feel like we're on target for our expectations, or if a surprise should happen, when will we know about any surprise and have the ability to work together to react to that?
So these budget workshops will be focused on facilities. There is not, so last summer when we came, we had just a dramatically short number of kindergartners enrolling, a percentage capture number that was less than we'd ever seen in the district, was a unique period of time. So we have budgeted for this budget somewhat conservatively, because we ended up with an increase in enrollment. So on my end, I try to be conservative on the side of we'd rather budget on the high end so that we are not caught flat-footed where we don't have the funding to be able to budget for the number of classrooms. If we have less that show up, then we have funding that we can look at what are potential options. We also had a series of budget workshops that helped to identify priorities, and so we have priorities identified. One example being that we'll have our TKPI class or classes that are part of the program when we start next year as well.
First question I have is, what are the factors that qualify one to be a rate 2 district?
So rate 1, there are 2 rates, and so for ELOP, if you have over 75% unduplicated, then you have a guaranteed amount that you will get for your students. If you are under 75%, it's basically they take what's left and divvy it up. They had a little bit less, they had a higher amount that had to be paid to rate 1, which reduced the amount that was available to rate 2. So we budgeted based on the information we were given, but then they reduced the rate we got per student.
And then, let's see. So, okay. I know you guys put world language program under budget priorities. I just have a little issue with that because I don't necessarily see it as a budget priority in the sense, I mean, maybe, yes, don't know. You're gonna be paying teachers regardless.
We also have the sixth grade program. So the sixth
I get
grade
that,
is a budget impact because we have sixth grade Spanish teachers who come in and do instruction.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you could throw any number of things on here. I don't see TK, that makes me sad, because I think that, I know I'm in the minority here, but that's definitely a budget priority for me. I do see it mentioned that there's no funding for TK, still no funding. And then this budget workshop you just mentioned is gonna be focused on facilities, it's happening in the fall. I know that in board prep with you, Jiwa and Holly, you guys mentioned that this is the time for me to bring up TK. I don't know how many students we have enrolled in this very limited program. And I, for one, would like to see more than $200,000 allocated to TK in our district, and open it up to more students and allocate more funding to it, but I don't see where that opportunity lies, certainly not tonight. And in the fall, obviously, that's after the school year has started. So, you know, if, you know, the stars aligned and we were able to allocate more money to TK so we could expand and have more students accessing this program for the school year to come, when would we be able to do that? Or discuss that?
So I can't speak to when you'd be able to discuss it. In this budget, we have budgeted for, to be able to have a class or two of TKEI based on the direction from the board previously.
Sure.
Looking at the program that we've developed.
Right.
We will, if we were given direction to do something differently, then we would budget differently, but we're budgeting based on the direction we receive at this point.
So, can we open that discussion up again and see if we can add more money now that you have a clear picture of the budget?
Well, if we add more money to it, then we'll have to take it from something else.
Right, I think you have a better picture of the budget now than you did a few months prior when we decided to allocate $200,000 to TK. And so would it be worth our time to look again and see how much more we can add? Or if we aren't using the full $200,000 because we've only captured X students, to make sure that we are using the full $200,000 that were allocated towards TK?
Well, I think we should see how this program works before we try and change it. I mean, we just voted on this, and I don't know
This
that
is the issue that was in the past. If you only have, if you're getting $200,000, but you're only getting, I don't know how many students have enrolled in TK, I think I heard 20, and that costs $100,000. What are you doing with the other $100,000?
With that, actually, would cost about $200,000 would be with what we earmarked for one class.
Okay.
And we didn't, but so we have budgeted so we could have 1 to 2 classes as we shared, and so when we shared with the board, we shared projected potential numbers based on what we have had last year. So we just gave estimates, and so we don't have final enrollment yet. We're working on final enrollment. We'll even have better numbers probably when it comes to the June adoption. At this point, though, I have to share. If the board would like to do something more than 1 to 2 classes, it would require us to, because our budget is flat right now for next year, it would require us to look at where do we cut from something else. So it would have to be a give and take, unless we were to use reserves for it, but I would strongly not recommend that we use reserves for an ongoing program. So it just would mean that the discussion would have to be around, if this, then we take away from this at this point.
And can we get some, at the end, but I'll ask it now, can we get a better sense, I guess in June, you can tell us how many students are enrolled in the program and what the total cost would be? I think it's such a shame not to open it up to more students if we have empty seats. It doesn't make sense to me.
and proposal, because it's proposing around $550 million potentially for facilities.
All facilities funding control at this
Yeah.
point, and the talk is that there's a focus from the governor, and well, actually, not even just talk. He is committed to some support for a facilities bond, right? So he's kind of putting all those eggs in that basket so he can use that money to balance the budget.
Kind of saying one being like there was potentially some money, and now it's not taken out, but it's going to be put out as potentially a bond. So a statewide bond.
Potential concerning thing with the statewide bond is it was originally projected at somewhere in the $14 billion range. There's talk of reducing that, which there are $4 billion in unfunded projects that are already in line for the funds from the state. So we're really, that's something we're actually advocating for too, is making sure that if there's a school bond, it's at a level that will actually fund school facilities for a period of time, because there's voter fatigue. If you go out for a bond, you spend it all on unfunded projects, and you have to go out for another bond, it can be counterproductive. So that's also something we have to follow.
Thank you. Oh, and the last thing I just quickly mention is that we're getting the birds and stirs really is killing like everybody out there, and that's something that I think needs statewide advocacy. Really do a good job of that, but unfortunately, it's right now it's not the time because the budget shortfall. So, but that's something in the future that every school district really needs to press for. So it's getting kind of out of control. It's really affecting our expenditures. So thank you very much, guys. Appreciate it. We are at 11.1, board approval declaration of the need of fully qualified educators 24-25 school year. Mr. Stanley.
So, good evening again, President Roth, members of the board, and Dr. McClure. The Declaration of Need for Fully Qualified Educators is an annual form that is submitted to the California Commission on Teacher Credentialing in order to allow districts to apply for applications for emergency and limited assignment permits should the need arise. So in Del Mar, we're very fortunate that we have a surplus of very well qualified teacher candidates for our classroom vacancies. But the district sometimes will experience a shortage of credentialed teachers in the following situations. So either when it's one of our existing staff members is working on coursework to obtain a new credential authorization, sometimes within special education, or what's most frequent within our district is when we have teachers who are hired who come from out of state. And so it's enabling them to be able to do the California specific coursework. So today what I'm bringing forward is I was asking for approval of the Declaration of Need, which is going to allow us to meet any needs for our 24-25 school year. And then also the numbers that are listed on the DON are intentionally very high. That's on the advice that we have from the San Diego County Office of Education. Their advice is to be very liberal and no penalty in identifying the guess of numbers that we might potentially need in some of our areas.
So when we see like the 6-1, you intend to hire people with these credentials already, but just in case?
This is purely a just in case, absolutely. And that's what I said, as a district, we've been very fortunate to be able to recruit and to be able to retain fully qualified people. So for example, Catherine, right now, it's with looking at our current numbers, we have 3 teachers that were prepared out of state that needed the emergency clad, and then within the special education category, that would be assignment we have more. So again, these are very, very liberal estimates.
And the transitional kindergarten teacher needs a special credential?
They need a multiple subject credential, and then they also are required to have 24 units of early childhood education. However, right now the state is granting a waiver in which they're not expecting folks to meet those requirements until the start of the 2025-26 school year.
So the emergency permit, emergency transitional kindergarten, is that for someone who is working on their multiple subjects credential, or?
In most instances, they have the multiple subject, but they'd be working on sort of childhood habits as well.
Is there a motion to approve the declaration of need? Is there a second?
A second.
All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Okay, motion passes unanimously. And we're at our closing items. Thank you, Ryan. 12.1, board review preliminary items for the June 24 for a regular board meeting? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, to get an update, maybe under the instruction heading, on differentiated instructional strategies for low achieving and high achieving students. I know it was mentioned earlier this evening that we don't have GATE. I think that's intentional. We don't have seminar. I think that's intentional. But what are we offering our students who finish early, and they're not just finished early because they're rushing and they're not getting their answers correct. Their answers are correct, and what are we doing with those students? And also, students who need more support. I think I'd like to hear about that. Thank you.
And 12.2, adjournment meeting. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting? So moved. Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed unanimously. Meeting is adjourned at 9:33 p.m. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you so much for being here.
There's cake left over.
Hello again. Despite pulling the help of the ADL last year and filing uniform complaints reviewed by Mr. Stanley and Ms. Ha, we recognized that no positive change was going to happen in the school district, so we pulled both of our children this year. We recognized that no one at the school, at the district, or board level was going to address the bullying and discrimination at Del Mar Hills. Instead, Ms. Lee attempted to distract parents from her failure of leadership by putting up multiple "No Place for Hate" signs along the gates near the pickup line. We pulled the one child we had at the Hills after October 7th because of the continued violent anti-Semitic incidents that went unchecked by her after that date. Sadly, I'm aware of a number of more incidents that have come up that she's denying and covering up. A couple of months ago, we also pulled our other child from Sage Canyon, where they were daily being forced into a small room, supposedly a de-escalation strategy for a dysregulated child. In addition to having this done to my child, I saw it being done to other kids, and they still have nightmares about this. My child remains terrified specifically of one aide, Miss Samantha, who was the adult most frequently forcing them into this room. It took us a while to understand what was going on at that school in the South class, as the reports we got from our child differed from what Miss Parker, Miss Kitchens, Miss Stengel, and Dr. Ridner said. They kept telling us our child was safe and the placement in the program was appropriate, but our child began to wet themselves from the trauma. They are now therapy. Ms. Schick refuses to acknowledge that the rooms used at Sage and in other schools across the district are seclusion or isolation rooms. Instead, she calls them reset rooms, while at Del Mar and Torrey Hills, the room is often called a calm down space. Whatever the name, forcing a child into an enclosed space, terrifying them, hearing them scream and cry from the other side of a doormat or a door, is a seclusion isolation setup. As board members know, the district is now under investigation by the Federal Department of Ed's Office of Civil Rights for the systematic abuse of children built into the design of the SELF program that was designed by Ms. Schick and her special ed staff. I'm happy to report that since leaving Del Mar Union, my child is thriving now that they are once again part of a general ed class with minimal additional supports. The change in their experience of school is stunning and underscores for me the truly barbaric treatment they received at 3 different Del Mar Union schools. In fact, one staff member of the new school read my child's IEP and asked me, "Who wrote this? Someone who hates children?" There was no justification for the brutal treatment my child received, no excuse for forcing them to a room. Years of mistreatment have led to years of educational loss and a loss of social connections. I'm here to say to other parents that listening, you are not crazy. The district's approach to special ed is cruel and hostile, unethical, and frequently illegal. Dr. McClurg's continued support of Ms. Schick is unjustified, and the board's continued support of Dr. McClurg demonstrates a dereliction of duty.
Following up on my wife's comments, I'm here tonight to ask if Holly McClurg has informed the board that in addition to the Office of Civil Rights Investigation, Del Mar Unified is also under investigation by Disability Rights California for the illegal and unethical changes to eligibility, categories of special needs children. As many of us parents know, Ms. Schick and her special education team have switched children's disability categories from autism or ADHD to emotional disturbance, ED. Since moving to another district, we have been made aware of how extreme of a label ED is. This hostile approach to kids stigmatizes them and inaccurately captures who they are and the help they need. For any other parents listening, if this has happened to you, you are not alone and it is not okay. Finally, what we want to say, we understand fully now why Board President Mock does not send his child to a Del Mar school. Now that both of our kids are out of the district, one in private and one in public school, with low standards and approach to education is clear. We get why Mr. Mock has chosen to send his child to a school that can provide his child with more challenging academic experiences. At our child's new public school, 8 classes are offered. Why are they not offered in this district if it is such an incredible district? The high test scores of Del Mar students are not a reflection of the quality of education in the classrooms, but on the fact that many of us parents choose to supplement our children's education with extracurricular academic instruction, both at local businesses and through informal parent groups held at homes and garages locally. Dr. McClurg sent out yet another video highlighting the beauty of the various school buildings today, and we heard it from many of you. But many of us would prefer that the money go to spending on children's academics. We would prefer that less money be spent on litigation with special needs families and more spent on actually helping kids in whatever way they need. Who cares about how beautiful the building is if what's happening inside is not safe or the highest standards? Parents, do not get distracted by the shiny buildings. We are here to encourage others to withhold STEAM plus donations until full financial transparency is embraced by the board and district level leadership, is held accountable for the abuse and mistreatment of children and families. An incredible district does not find itself under multiple investigations, have an enrollment of only 50%, and does not spend more money on legal fees than the much bigger local high school district. An incredible, in all his own words, an incredible district is fiscally responsible and fiscally transparent. An incredible district supports all children, whatever their needs may be. An incredible district is inclusive and keeps children with special needs at their home school, allowing for the stability of relationships and community. An incredible district holds all staff to the highest standards and accountability. Thank you.
All right, 6.1.